Hello, 862 subscribers. I am Chillmonger. The Tomorrow War, a movie I never thought I'd like, a movie I was just talking about, not specifically, but over on Paul's channel. His channel is called Halage and Helix. Go subscribe to that. We were chatting about Predator, chatting about Alien, movie franchises specifically in the horror genre, which just keep repeating. Which sometimes we need to just leave movies in the past, let them die, kill them if we have to. Wait. What we got to do is not continue things that for nostalgia's sake. This film right here, The Tomorrow War, is what Predator and those films could be if they did not rely on nostalgia. And I figured that one out when I was like halfway through the film. This was really good, and it's actually something I want to see continue. It's actually something that had the intentions of continuing based on the whenever they had exposition and showed us how we got to this point. There's more of these white spikes that exist out there. We, the human race, are introduced to them while we're watching a soccer game. It's December of 22. The soccer game, or the football match, is the most watched program in the world. Makes sense why when they go 30 years in the past, the future people go straight there. Right? Doesn't it? Okay. Also, these future people are younger, and these guys who are training them, the guys who are getting trained are older, and Charlie is going to figure out that these guys die. That's why we're all here. That's why they don't really care about us, what we dress like. It's like we know we're going to die. Very astute observation. So we kind of just skip over the shock and awe. How was the world get? We get a little montage of it on the news. Cool. I don't need any explanation to that. Also, time travel, I don't care. Look, time is like a river. We can go 30 years, but the machine that's making us time travel, the vortex, it's impossible to get a black hole. You guys are doing time travel in your film? Enough said. Chill understands. Just go on. Okay, thank you for the explanation. It's fine. I just accept these things now. I don't care as much. I don't care as much when it comes to time travel. You want to tell the story? I'm not going to let science get in the way of it. The daughter of this character, Dan, main character's name is Dan, everybody. Chris Pratt. Wow. Jurassic World, he's got Marvel, and he's got this. Potentially could be a franchise. Chris Pratt. Even took his shirt off, so he's in that Guardian shape right now. Chris Pratt is dad, Dan, is a teacher. He has some time in the war. He's got issues with his dad, which they didn't mention for nothing. And cute daughter. This daughter is quite important. A lot like Murphy. Her name is Murray. Murphy from the Interstellar film. Similar to her. So the dying enlist. Charlie's a great character. He's nervous. There was another man whose name I forget, but he's the guy who wanted the souvenir. Third mission, third deployment. So he's thrills chasing. When these guys drop into from the sky like Fortnite. They drop into like a swimming pool, and it was interesting to me because the way the director did this was added suspense on suspense. You thought, okay, everything's safe because he landed on the he made it splash into the pool, but then there's someone else coming from above him, which could potentially end his life too. And he does a good job of saving him up, which you should never do because survival instincts are going to kick in. If someone doesn't know how to swim, all they're trying to think about is surviving. They're going to yank you all the way down and keep you just so that they can make themselves live. There is a way, a lifeguard told me actually, to lift them up from the neck like that. There's a way to hold somebody up, but don't do it if you're not a professional. And don't listen to me. Google it. Find out how to save someone from drowning on Google. Oh, what was I saying before I went in a tangent? The director, just adding more suspense, building on things, which we like when we first saw the white spikes. We didn't first see them. It was a character looking through the goggles, and we saw something white. Something was moving on four legs. Oh, it's got tentacles, huh? You know what movie it did remind me of? Remember John Boyega's film when he was Moses? Attack the Block? It was sort of like that. Sort of like that. Except instead of black, it was all white. This thing is spooky. The next time we get to see the animal, it's in the stairwell. And it's a slow reveal. They milk it perfectly in this film. The pig clicking that dude was talking about in therapy with Dan's wife. Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed. I'd never forget that clicking. I don't care if it's only been a whole week. But his daughter's training him through the earpiece, saying where to go. Yeah, Dan Forrest. This is. I think she said her name was Forrester. But when they finally do meet each other, it's Dad. It's the daughter. Wow, what a connection. Everything she was aspiring to be, we saw when she was younger, digging in the backyard, trying to find vaccines. Turns out to be a scientist, a skilled war, the humanity's hope. Is what Murray grows up to become. Good parenting, or was it? Spoilers. This man abandons her. What? He abandons her. This loving daughter who we saw, it's not the same character I saw. What kind of character assassination happens in the next 7 years before this man dies in a car crash? That Dan leaves his kid. This is what? It's also real life because we're not the same people we used to be. A man who views the world the same at 50 that he did at 20 wasted 30 years of his life. He's not a hero when he grows up. He's just a hero now. He is what she imagines her to be. And it's important to me, like this was something that hit home with me because it's a reminder to always evolve and always change. There's positions I have now that I didn't have when I began YouTube. There's also positions I had. I remember like high school debate class type thing. They'd make you make a decision like in the moment. Raise your hand for this or hand for that. I don't know. I don't have all the information to decide what I feel about abortion, euthanasia, legalization of marijuana, decriminalization. Like there was all these heavy topics that the teacher was throwing at me, and I had to make my decision. Then I didn't have the right, not the right opinion, but and an informed opinion on. Just cathartic, getting out my high school issues. But like we changed throughout the years, and that's what that showcased there. Oh, the daughter tells him that a female is the only one that survived this toxin that we cooked up. So what we gotta do is get the DNA from the female, figure it out, reverse engineer it Riri Williams style, and then we'll have an answer to how to kill all these things. That's the mission. And they get to the hive of where this female's laying. And a lot of people are pulling on their harpoons. Daddy needed to come to save daughter. It's a female. It's bigger, it's got a red belly, it's really spooky. Daddy comes out of nowhere, stabs a tentacle, gets it into the cage that it needs to be at. Hooray. We get a lot of rewards in here, a lot of victories in here. It's being taken up by a helicopter. But wait, there's more. As they climb off of a mountain cliff and fly like they're actually... Chillmonger hoodie available at teespring.com. But they're gliding like Knuckles, trying to reach the helicopter. Hey, you got a helicopter at your 9 o'clock. This helicopter... The chopper blades chop up the white spikes. What an innovative way to use helicopters. Now I haven't seen that in movies before. If you have seen it and you're not as impressed, that's fine. That's new to me. That was a nice innovative way of a kill. Really cool. They run like hell. They get on one of those cars like turret with a turret on top, and we kind of just skip to when they get on the beach. Everything's fine. And now we're in the lab where they're sedating this thing with 800 milligrams of tranquilizer. Notice they used milligrams. Americans in the future do come through 30 years later. They get off the imperial system and they're on that metric system. Metric system. Congratulations, American. It took the end of the world, but you're finally where it makes sense. Celsius over Fahrenheit, that's another one you guys got to get right. And then, because Celsius, 0 degrees Celsius, it's actually where water turns into ice. 100 degrees Celsius is when water turns to gas, like vapor when it boils. It just makes sense, everybody. It just makes sense. Everybody American. Everyone else? That's my winking eye. Yeah, I talked about the screen and roll with the helicopter. I talked about how people change. The thing is, because it was a female that they sedated and kept there, what if it was pregnant? What if the female was laying eggs? However it reproduces, we didn't know that. What if, while it was asleep, a new kid would come out? That's kind of what I was predicting, and that's why I wrote that there. But they also get some small talk time. Side note, at the 1 hour, 19 minute, and 36 seconds, there's a deleted scene. It's right when they were talking about veggie lasagna. He says something to her, and her head is down here. And the very next scene, it's a close up on her face and she's smiling. There was some more daddy daughter time that we missed out. I want to see the extras, Amazon Prime. Let me know what's going on. Paramount, tell me how I can get those scenes because I was really into this movie and I'd like to see how more, as much more as possible. There is a sacrifice aspect to this. You know that someone's gonna have to die for the world to continue, and the reason why she chooses Dan, her dad, to do this, she's gonna tell him like it's because I love you. Um, the true answer, Dan choose Murray chooses Dan because Dan abandoned her as a kid, and she knows that he will abandon her again with this cure, with this solution, one more time. Dan is the worst dad in the world, and we know that, and that's why he was chosen. That's the real reason why. There's no scene that explains that. Chillmonger analyzed that. You know it makes sense. So, what if they got here? What? Let me rephrase this. The animal wakes back up. Cool. And it makes a loud noise which calls everybody over. All of the white spikes, were they just dormant? Were they just swimming? Where did they all come from? Because it looked like they were on some sort of water marine base. Anyways, we get a cure. It was like a 40% match, then it only bonded 70%, then we got the 100% bond, it's green and they got it. Mass produced this, let's go. So we get a victory. But they milk it. There's a lot of rewards in this movie, but then was always to the next step. You thought this whole film would climax here in the 30 years in the future world. That's not true. Because while Dan does escape with the clothes on his back and the solution, he loses his girl. And he actually wasn't going to lose her. He was going to risk it all. Because he jumped to try to come get her. And like, what was I going to say for really? He tried, though. So good, Dan, the last thing that the daughter sees before she dies is her dad reaching out for her. And I hope she's alive. And they fixed that wormhole to get back to 30 years in the future. And they just poof, all the animals, all the white spikes disappear. And she's alive and she remembers that. I hope. Probably not. I think that's the end of that character, unfortunately. But the movie doesn't end here. There was a fourth act because they get back home. He was holding on to the solution so tight that the doctors couldn't get it. Fine, I'll take that. Fine. But if you're wiped out and you wake up, but whatever, fine. Now they try to mass produce this. Here's where the coincidences get coincidental. They ask about how could you get volcanic ash from China into the nails of this creature. Do we know any experts on volcanoes? That kid from school. That kid had the answers. Way too coincidental. I remember watching the Avengers Endgame movie when a rat touches the time machine on the Quantum Realm van and gets out Scott, Ant-Man. In the commentary of the director's edition of the movie, you can hear the screenwriter say, yo, we would do this in the first act, but we wouldn't have something coincidental happen in the third act. And you guys saw me, if you're new here, I believe that it's a 14,605,000 chance that rat does that. Doctor Strange had to pace his fight with Thanos in Avengers Endgame to make it so that Thanos arrives on Wakanda at a certain time. The parents of that rat arrive to where they need to arrive to at a certain time in San Francisco for that rat to be alive, to be in the potential area to touch the van. It really was a 1 out of 14 million chance for that whole scenario to happen. That's what I believe about that. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up for this movie is this was the third act, and I wouldn't want to see the kid, even though he had pizzazz, I didn't want to see him just coincidentally have an answer to him. Also, we needed a pilot. Coincidentally, there's the dad. Now, of course, we're giving them points for tying up things they introduced earlier in the film. It's just not so, and it's not my cup of tea. The Fast and Furious franchise do this, but they do it over movies. Like, those twins that we once saw in one movie? Well, here they are, they're back. Remember that guy in the first Fast and Furious movie? Well, he's actually hiding out in Brazil and he's helping out Dom. They do that, but they take it at movies to do it, to reward us. Characters returning after a long period of time. Um, Owen Shaw. That character is another one. Fast and Furious does a good job at it. They didn't do a good job of it here. When they bring it to the government wasn't having it for now, but then they'll take credit for it later. Ugh. They go to Russia. They do a speech. Okay, well, we found the ship. Okay, what do we do now? The biggest mistake ever. Made for a great climactic movie film ending, but it was the biggest mistake ever. You need to call backup. You need to create a perimeter, and then you need to create another perimeter. They need to weaponize that solution into more weapons than just freaking the ones that those five guys had. You need to actually turn it into a gas. You need aerial. You need the whole town around that circle. A third perimeter. You just need every bomb, every way to make this threat solved, because we don't know. Dude is gonna blow him up with the C4. He's gonna blow up the whole ship. We don't know if every single one of those beasts were destroyed. Very huge mistake. Oh, we can't trust the government, so yeah, let's go ahead and do it. You guys stay outside, and granddad and Charlie stay outside. All right. Inside, there's more exposition, because these are not just aliens. These are aliens, because there's already the people who were flying that ship, who crash landed on Earth. They were weaponizing the white spikes. They were harvesting them. There was like a hive in there, and I guess they were gonna deploy them on a mission. Like, what kind of intergalactic battle is happening here? Reminds me of StarCraft, where you got the Zerg, who were actually created by the Terran. They were I think they were Protoss attempts. Was that the story of it? These Zerg, these white spikes, are intergalactic threats. We get to a room where they all are in their eggs. Go into the briefcase. Okay, guys, there's not really a plan. They get all of them on one side, and with no urgency, maybe look at each other, wait, talk to each other. There's more over here. And yeah, they see their friends dying. They're gonna come out. So three of them come out and leave. Charlie and Dad. Snipe. I need your help. In comes with the chainsaw. Very climactic. So that was a kill. But then there's one female that gets away. Inside the ship, I told you when they discovered there was way more of them, they had to blow it up. The big battle with the female, the returning female, they established the threat earlier in the film, so good. The big battle had a lot of false finishes. I told you about the rewards of always defeating, but there's always more. This was the antithesis of that. I like when they force it over the cliff and we think it's dead, but the director of this film is a genius, a mad genius. When it goes over the cliff, we never get the look over. We just kind of know it's still here. You remember earlier in the film, whenever we see through the eyes of the white spikes, it would be blurry and fuzzy. We got to see that. Another thing they did was character one, Dad, was over here, and then his son Dan was over here. But then there was all this space on this side of the screen, telling me like, yo, it's gonna pop up from underneath. Even though it didn't happen, it made me think there's room for this other one. Where's it gonna come? Let's go back to back. Okay, back to back. They're talking, and it comes in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, good timing. And they're battling, and they're fighting it, and we think, okay, we thought we had it when we were over the cliff, but we got it now. Dan takes it, gets it right here. Oh, the beast amputates itself. It's a false finish. It kicks out. WrestleMania 27. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. I just had an out-of-body experience. This thing is still going. And Dad is going to sacrifice himself, and he cuts himself. Oh, I'm going to say my goodbyes. And in comes his son. Leaps. Very CGI. Didn't look too good. But he just holds it down. Now he's boxing, having a boxing match with the beast. Claws its eye out so it can't really see. I mean, that happened earlier. The way that they get the final kills, they finally get it inside its mouth. It's choking on it. Falls down the cliff. Just die. Splat. It just dies. And he says die. Is that what you told him? Die? Um, Very good. Hey, there's also another cool moment earlier that I skipped on. It's when the dad sets the decoy with the snowman. What was the line exactly he said? He's like, surprise, dumbass. That was a good line for him. Um, Great ass movie. 9 out of 10 movie. I never expected something like this to just kick ass. The dad, the son, and the daughter, all three of that generation, they link up. Happy hug at the end of the film. Piece of shit politician takes credit. So as soon as I heard about this mission, we sent a covert operation to the unit. They took care of it. Yeah, right. Oh, yo, that's the vid for right now. I did a top 25 IGN superheroes reaction on my Patreon. You don't have to be a patron to watch it. Just go on my page and you will be able to view it as an extra gift, as a preview of what I do over on Patreon. Chillmonger out.